Welcome to Monster High.
Oh, shoot, I'm late! Name's Frankie, pronouns they, them. Claudine, she, her. There's also that. How can you tell if they're home? Maybe we knock.
Never knock on a closed coffin.
This is Rachel Shatto with Pride.com, and today I'm speaking with Ceci Balagot, star of Monster High, the movie. First of all, congratulations on Monster High. How are you feeling with people finally going to be able to see it soon? Like it's not that far off to the premiere.
I had the very, very lucky privilege of being able to watch the film already. And finally, and I am even more excited now. I have even more amazing things to say about it because it is so much better than I even could have conceived in my mind. It's so the messages of friendship and living honestly and making sure that your friends are being safe and living their own authentic lives. I feel like that message is just so prominent in the film, and also with the support of amazing music and amazing dancing and amazing costumes and amazing effects that I had not seen. Obviously, when I was there, the effects were not there, but now that
wait, those didn't happen? They're not real?
It enhanced the movie so much, and I feel like people are just going to be super, super into it.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, I've seen the trailer and I've seen the music video, and that I really appreciated the message of the video, like that solidarity of the friends and coming together. So that's something that kind of carries throughout the film. Is that kind of one of the major themes of the film?
Yes. Monster High's, as a brand, their message has always been be a monster, be yourself, be unique. And this movie is exactly that. It shows that everybody has a different path in growing up and discovering who they are, and that any of those paths is okay.
Oh, I love that. I think that's really great. I mean, it's one of those things that, as a kid, queer kids need it because they need to feel accepted. Straight kids need to see it because they need to be accepting. So I think that's such an important story to tell in these, young adult, stories. I think they're really powerful and impactful in people's lives. So one of the things I think that is going to be really powerful and impactful is, of course, Frankie. What can you tell us about Frankie?
Well, Frankie now identifies as non-binary and uses they, them pronouns. And what is most important to me as an actor, what I like to bring to the table, especially as a trans actor, is I want the stories to not be surrounded by trauma.
Mm-hmm.
I want queer storylines that are happy and simple and cheerful and that make you smile and tear up a little, because that little kid is just so optimistic and full of hope, and they haven't met those same obstacles that a lot of queer people have. So seeing the non-trauma based storyline is one of the most important things to me. And also we have Todd Holland, our director, is a gay man, and for him, being queer is kind of one of this is a lot of the storylines, whether the characters are queer or not, they are essentially queer storylines, because that's what the director knows, and that's what I know, so that's what I'm bringing to it as well. And his message, which I think is so beautiful, is that we want to face the fear of living honestly. And that's something that has been my journey in the past year and a half, is coming out as trans and medically transitioning as well. It's been very scary, and I have a lot of anxiety, especially going on my first job, identifying as trans, living as my true self. But going through, hitting that wall and finally facing that fear of living honestly has made my life 1,000 times better. And I hope to really share that message through Frankie.
Oh, that's great. Yes. As you said, you did come out as trans last year. Can you tell me a little bit about what went into the decision to live openly and honestly in that way? And maybe how your life has changed since you did it?
Absolutely. I think I've probably known that I was trans since I was a really little kid. And even though I didn't have the words or the concept for it, I knew. And then growing up as an actor, I've been in the acting world since I was really, really little.
Yeah.
So going into acting, they kind of want you to be in a box. They want you to be, a girly girl or a masculine girl, or a girly boy or a masculine boy. They want you in what they have already perceived as the correct way to be you.
Yeah.
And that was really difficult for me growing up because I was wondering why I couldn't live up to the femininity that my peers were able to capture in their characters. I felt like I was just auditioning for the wrong roles. Like, is it me or is it the writing, or do we need stronger female characters? Which we did, especially when I was younger.
Two things can be true.
Exactly. For sure. I mean, so many times I would go into the audition room and just read the script and be like, oh, do you hate women? Like the writers, like, have you ever met a girl? And like, even though I didn't identify as a girl, I still didn't feel like I didn't feel like I was putting myself, my best self forward in those roles.
Mm-hmm.
So when I finally came out to myself when I was about like 18, I made the decision to come out to my family, who at the time was kind of socially conservative. But it took my family on a crazy journey. And my mom went from being like Catholic woman who, dedicates all of her time to the church to being the person who started the first ever Pride event in my small city. So my parents are extremely, extremely supportive. And they're like the only reason that I could come up to my professional team, which was also really difficult because I wasn't sure like if they were going to understand
Right.
where I was coming from. And if it was going to make their jobs harder, which I know it has. Like, you can't just go into backstage.com and type like 18-year-old girl and then find 1,000 listings. Like for trans people and for non-binary people who are assigned female at birth, especially, it's a very, very, very limited selection. So it has made my acting life a tad more difficult, but it's so much more worth it because I don't have to go on set and be misgendered. I can go to the wardrobe people and say what I feel and be comfortable. And I can talk to the makeup people and say what I feel and be comfortable. And it's just like, even though there are the obstacles, it's still made my life like 1,000 times better. I would do it again for sure.
Oh, that's amazing. I was curious about, how it was for you to do this in a professional setting. It's one thing to do it personally, but when it actually could impact your career, that's a lot of added pressure. Do you feel like even though there are still challenges that things are changing, do you think they're getting better, or, where do you think we are in terms of that now?
That's a great question. When I was in 10th grade, I did a TED Talk in my class. It was like an assignment. And my topic that I chose was queer representation in media. Mm-hmm. And trans representation was like a small part of it. And I talked about movies like Soap Dish. And I also looked at I looked at the Wikipedia page. There used to be, I haven't checked it in a while. There's a Wikipedia page that talks about all of the queer people who have been in movies in all time. And in each section, there's like a section for trans masculine people, and there was 0. And then for non-binary people, there was like 3. And then I clicked on the list and it was like 3 movies I'd never heard of. So going from like, I really didn't want trans people to be the butt of the joke anymore. It's not funny that this person was born this way. I like the Soap Dish storyline. It's not a surprise. It's not a joke. I really want queer people to be taken seriously. Mm-hmm. Like, even though my character is really funny in this and I love to be a funny person, I wanted our identities at least to be taken seriously. And I think that's sort of the path that we're on now, where it's less jokes about us and more about our stories are being included. I think it comes down to studios and executives searching for trans writers and directors and asking for them to share their stories. I've met some amazing, amazing trans directors and a trans actor who I worked with a couple of years ago, Eve Lindley. She was probably the main inspiration for me coming out, because when I was a kid, I thought, if I come out, then I can't be an actor anymore. Like those 2 things can't coexist. My authenticity and my professional life can't exist together. But then I worked with this wonderful, beautiful, amazing trans woman who showed me that there is like a life after transitioning, a life filled with success and like joy and things that you want to do. And that, like, it blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, like there's a future for me. What? So following in her footsteps, it kind of like in a year or 2 after that, I finally came out to my family.
That's incredible. You know, being able to have someone model gender euphoria for you is so incredible. And now you kind of find yourself in a similar position potentially for other queer kids. Is that something that as you're, you know, as Frankie is going to be out non-binary to this audience, is that something that is on your mind that you're going to be able to be that model for them? And do you feel a responsibility around that, or is it more just like a privilege?
Responsibility and a privilege, both for sure. I mean, like my goal in the industry is to be the person that I needed when I was growing up, because there was nobody for me to look up to. There was Mulan. Mulan dressed up like a boy for half the movie, and that was the best representation I got in my whole life. I needed that. I remember Googling like obsessively like agender celebrities and trans masculine celebrities, and there was like really the one or two people that were out, and it stressed me out, because I would go to my friends and I would try to have conversations with them about how I was feeling, and the conversation would end so abruptly because their knowledge about it was just so very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when I was in high school, which is not that long ago, like 5 years ago, people did not know what non-binary was. They were just like very confused and concerned about trans people. Like they thought I feel like the general message is like, for a lot of cisgender people, you have to look a certain way in order to be acceptably trans.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that was, it's really hard for high schoolers and middle schoolers. You know, you're going through so much and all of your friends are changing so much. It can be really hard to understand, but I really hope that bringing Frankie into people's houses will show parents that it's okay that their friends, that their kids' friends are non-binary. It'll show them that it's okay that their kid's teacher is non-binary. Their babysitter is non-binary. It'll like open the doors to at least, you know, one person, and you have some reference for somebody who's really happy and not like some like perverted dungeon master. Like they're like a child, a happy child living their best life. I think that will help not just kids who are coming to find their own identity, but also parents who don't have any frame of reference for this, and they want to help their kids or they don't want to understand their kids. I think this will, since this movie is like a genuinely co-viewing experience, I think parents will be able to watch it and be entertained as well. I think they will pick up some amazing messaging from this as well.
I think that's great. And the film looks so much fun. I mean, it has it all. Lots, like you said, lots of humor, but also some really great music and dancing. And you are a triple threat. You sing, you dance, you act. For you, what's the part of you of those three that you love the most and that speaks most to your soul?
Oh, well, I love dancing so much. I've taken dance classes since I was technically 1.5. My brother took tap classes, and I used to stand outside of the classroom and cry in my diaper because I wanted to be in it so bad. And they had to be potty trained in order to take classes, but they let me in anyway because I was throwing a tantrum because I wanted to dance so bad. And then I danced like 18 hours a week for like several years of my life. Like it was my big obsession. And I wanted to be a professional dancer so bad. I really wanted to be a rockette, but I'm 4'11", so that's unfortunately I don't really see that in my future. But I knew when I was little, like there needs to be some way that I can incorporate dance into my life, and I knew that I wanted to be an actor too. So when I realized that musical theater was a combination of the acting and dancing and with singing as well, which is not my favorite thing to do, but I come from a very singy kind of family. So knowing that I could train all of those things simultaneously and be able to do them simultaneously was exciting and challenging to me. And then in middle school and high school, I actually went to an arts program, to a high school that's like all dedicated to arts education. So I was highly educated in musical theater and acting and in dance and singing technique. I got some lessons from amazing Broadway stars. And the really, really, really long days. It was a lot of hard work, but like pretty much 7th through 12th grade while I was filming on Disney Channel, I was going back to school and then doing rehearsals. So it was a lot of hard work that prepared me for Monster High. Like our days were so long. We have no kids on set, so it's long adult hours.
Okay.
Big long adult hours. I feel like we're grown up. And we're wearing wigs, and it takes several hours for the makeup to be done for us to turn into our characters. So all of that, the time management and the rest and the mindfulness it takes to stay sane, I learned all in my musical theater training in high school. Thank you, OSHA. That's the school I went to. And like, seriously, it's a lot of hard work, but I hope it comes off as looking effortless on the screen. That's the goal.
Yes. I mean, that's the thing is then you make it look so easy. People are like, I can do that. No, you can't.
Yes, you can. I want people to learn the dances so bad.
You're going to see them on TikTok.
I learned
you watch.
Dance to every High School Musical song. So I want the kids to be doing the same thing with this, you know?
Amazing. Well, it looks super, super fun. I know you can't spoil things, so I'm not going to ask you for plot details, but it is a mystery. Were you personally surprised when you found out like the answer to the mystery? Did it catch you off guard?
It did. Okay. Like, to be honest, I'm really not very good at following plot. Like every movie is an M. Night Shyamalan movie to me. So when I read this at the end, people are going to be so surprised. I was like, it definitely caught me off guard, I think. It's one of those, I don't want to spoil it. It's one of those things where nobody's who you think. Nobody's quite who you think.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. That's exciting. Okay. Well, are there any other projects that you're working on that you could share with us, or what's up next for you?
Monster High, Paramount Plus, and Nickelodeon on October 6th.
Yes. Yes. Everybody check it out. It's going to be a great time and a great way to kick off spooky season.
Yes. So excited to see all the Halloween costumes as well.
Oh yeah. Get ready for Frankie cosplay. It's coming. It's coming.
I have a friend who's a professional cosplayer, and they've already shown me all of their Frankie looks. I'm excited.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. This was so much fun. And
so fun. Thank you.
I can't wait to attempt those dances myself. Emphasis on attempt.
I love it.